Okay, so last time we did the formulas for trig where you have a right angle triangle and you have theta and you have the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. Now, in the formula sheet for Matric, they don't give this stuff to you. They give you these formulas, which are based not on a right angle triangle, but any triangle. So it doesn't really matter what the angle is. It can be any triangle. So let's say that this is your triangle here. The capital A stands for the angle. And then the little a is the side opposite that angle. And so this would be capital C and capital little c. So this is little b. So if you're given three of these things, you can calculate one or the other. So for example, if you were given a triangle with say this was 7 and 30 degrees, and say this was, okay, that doesn't look, 13. And say this was 8, you could work out this angle. Because you would have this bit here, you could maybe use for the green, and then you'd have the side, and then you would just solve for it.
Okay.
Okay, so for this formula, basically the options are you could have you need an angle and the, let's do it in a different color. You need an angle and the opposite side and one other angle. Or you need an angle and an opposite side. And opposite side. And then any other side. So it could be there. So then you could use this formula here. So we'll just call this 1. Okay, so you don't always get given the opposite side and the opposite angle, but often they'll have like a complicated trigonometry question like this. And so it's good to use colors. So they give you like 32. 7. So say they give you like this example here, and then what you would do is, if you look at the colors, you can see, okay, this is an example where I could use my sine rule. Okay, if you are given so let's look at the second one now. So the next one is if you are given an angle and the two sides in between that angle. Then you would use the rule number 2. So this here, rule number 1, it's in pink because we're given an angle and an opposite side and another angle. You have to be given two things that are opposite each other. But if you're not given something opposite each other, so you're given the two sides and then the angle in between it, then you will use the rule 2. So you can say this is, say, A B. And C. And it doesn't matter how you label it, as long as you have the C opposite the C.
Okay.
So this is for your own benefit. So here we've got A and C and B. So we have then A, C, okay. Oh, and we've called this angle B. So say they labeled this. What you would do, because they'll label some things like F, G, Y, or whatever. You can change this rule to two different options. It could also be B squared equals, and then you have A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cos B. Or you could have it as C squared equals B squared, make that A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cos C. Okay, you can always check in the back, so it's not like you have to remember this, but it's just good to know that you can interchange these. So as long as this B corresponds with the angle cos B, and then the other two sides are in this part, and then C squared corresponds to cos C. So here we would just use the cos B formula. So we have B squared is what we want, and we can see in purple we have the A squared, we have the C squared, and we have the 2AC obviously, and we have the angle B. Okay, so you just highlight the angles, and as long as you get an angle that's being hugged by the two sides, then we know we can use this second one. And the same thing for if you're given three sides is another way. So if you were given three sides, so let's say we take away this angle, say you didn't have this angle and you had the three sides, then we can see we've got a squared, b squared, c squared, the three sides, and then we've got the 2bc because those are also sides, and we could work out the angle. We could work out the angle A in this formula, or if we wanted angle B and C, we could use the two that are derived. Okay, so then this angle here is again, this formula 3 is, I'm going to do this in purple as well, because it's exactly the same as the number 2 in terms of what you need. You see the area of this triangle, you have AB and then sine C. So it's AB. So I'll just do it in a different color just to make it clear what I'm talking about with one line. So it's A and B, and then you have that angle C. So we'll just also do it like that. You have again two sides and an angle being hugged. And if you are given in this example, we'll just get this example here. If you're given this example here and you asked to work out the area of this, what you would have to do is use the sine rule to figure out what one of the other sides is. And then you could go ahead and use the area rule. But you couldn't use the area rule straight away. You'd have to then figure out using trig what the other side is. So you would need to get like this blue thing with two sides hugging one of the angles in between it. Okay, so that is the first part of trig, where we are looking at a non-right angle triangle and we have to work out unknown sides. So